So hey guys, welcome everyone to the fourth ever Amos product call. We have gathered here today to discuss the everything new in the world of Amos. So without further ado, let's get to it. The first thing that maybe should be mentioned is there are a few people joining. So there's a guy from Lahore, Pakistan, called Ali, who literally applied just like 2 hours ago, and I was already able to have a call with him, and he's very excited in joining the project. He's mainly a full stack developer, but very excited about helping us with front end. So that's great news. And he currently has a full-time job, so he's able to do part-time, 20 hours or so until we get funding, then join full-time, and he can begin to contribute on Monday. On that note, I feel like we can take into account, like with everything we discussed today, at least two more people joining on the front end side, because we get on average one person applying for AngelList every 2 days. And additionally, I'm also in touch with a few more people. So I very much think that within the next 7 days, we can get two more people to help us out, which is really exciting. Yeah, and you know, even from like a more high level perspective, when people apply to this project, they tend to join. And why is that? Well, because I mean, we're the perfect startup. We have a great idea. We have a great team, so people get to work with very experienced developers. And also, we're starting from scratch, all from scratch. So there's no maintaining of 10-year-old systems. So people are really attracted to these three things. If I was a developer and I saw this on AngelList, I would join. In fact, I am a developer and I joined this project. So it's not just words, actions. Cool. On the backend side, so as we discussed last week and also on the regular call, the backend specification is finished. The only open questions are things that either don't matter that much or like either way is fine. Yeah, we might write down a written specification if that would be useful, but let's see how things roll. Currently, you know, there's a call, there's the notes from the previous calls, and we can also use that for the backend specification, as well as, of course, most importantly, communication through Slack and through calls. So on that note, Lauren and Ani will be working on the back end, so that is perfect. On the front end side, that's where what we want to discuss today. That's pretty much going to be the main topic of today's call. So let me start probably by saying that I want to leave as much of it up to the implementers. The reason is I really believe in, like in general, I tend to side with having lead developers instead of product managers. I feel like it's a good idea that the person who makes decisions about the product also manages the code. And the simple reason is, in software, there's always two things: what you want to build and how technically difficult, how technically costly it is to build. And only somebody who is a developer, ideally somebody who's a developer on that project, like the lead developer, can know the answer to the second question. So with that in mind, you know, I can give some suggestions, as well as then work with you guys from both the macro perspective, but also the micro perspective. But I really want to give you guys a lot of freedom to implement it exactly the way you want. You know, there's also an advantage of this co-founder model that we're all incentivized to create the best product. You know, every single person on the team right now is a co-founder, and so we all believe in the vision, which is great because if, you know, I took one of the emails from the 20 software agencies that are emailing me all the time about outsourcing, this would not be the same. Ani, what's up?
Could you increase the font maybe? It's
yeah, good. I was thinking that that would be. Is it better now?
Yeah, it's better now.
Perfect. Yeah, thanks for raising that, because also on YouTube it'll be much more visible this day. Yeah, a 4K monitor is great, but when it gets reduced to a 360p, might not be that legible. So that's just essentially the sort of philosophy that I'm coming from, that I wanted to give you guys. And now let's talk about the actual, first thing of the front end, which is the layout. So I think on our Slack channel, I posted in the design thing. So yesterday I posted something that looked like this. So essentially, this is the layout on mobile, where we have a sidebar, we have notification, we have a profile symbol, and then we have the three most important tabs of our MVP. And on desktop, it gets sort of this section right here gets pulled to the top, and we also get star 10K. I recently come up with something simpler. So even before I take the next one, let me show you how I implemented this in Webflow. I think the link is in Amos, which is not a very long channel. So, oh, perfect, I have it over here. So this is how I implemented in Webflow. Ta-da! Contribute resources, search, notifications, profile settings, log out. These are buttons, and this doesn't work. I don't know why. It's just tabs that are absolutely positioned 50 pixels to the top, and suddenly stops working. So let's go to mobile to switch the tabs. Okay, perfect. So now I'm on mobile, particular iPad, and as you can see, the taskbar still works the same. And the tabs now are on the bottom, which is perfect for mobile, and also now they work. So contribute says this will be adding metadata to resources using the unlimited Amos game. This says this will be managing the resource tree using the limited Amos game. And this will say something like, we're planning to enable search after we have at least 10,000 data points on our resources. Help us get there together. So that's what I did. It's nice. Webflow is nice. That it actually gives you like a prototype. But like, I think some things are a little bit take long there. Obviously, it takes much longer than designing, than making a sketch thing, because in sketch you're just putting in the margins and stuff like fixed, but in Webflow it's actually 100% responsive. And what I like about Webflow is that you're actually entering real sort of CSS. It's just like CSS done simply. Cool. So let's go back to another option that I posted a few minutes ago. So this is a much simpler option. This option abstracts away profiles. So this option says we don't need a profile in the MVP. as in a profile section. We can add that later as a feature. And so this section has, again, a contribute button. This is supposed to be a referendum or voting or proposals button. And this is meant to be search, and this is meant to be notifications. Again, on mobile, it gets pushed to the bottom, which is beautiful. On desktop, it can be either text or text and icon or icon. And obviously, it should get pushed to the top, and there should be margin for if you have a large display. I picked this icon just by Googling election. Another option would be to Google proposal, and then you get something that looks maybe like this. So those are both options for that particular icon. So with that in mind, let's get into what they will actually do. So the contribute button will guide you through a series of steps, that will allow you to add metadata to a resource. So let me show you what I'm most inspired by. Let's say here, perfect. So this is probably one of the most beautiful apps in the App Store, so this is kind of what I was a little bit inspired by. So yeah, I can attach this link. This is a beautiful review form by Airbnb. Of course, there's differences between Android and iOS. In Android, we assume we have a back button. In iOS, there is no back button. So it's very good to have sort of an arrow on the top left to correspond with the iOS native design language. We could also add that button in Android, or it could be something else. So when it comes to what the contents of that tab, so it's very likely going to say something like URL or link, where there will be a text box where you can attach the link. Alternatively, when we make this into a mobile app, or if you use the Chrome extension, then if you hit share and then you share it to the mobile app, or if you hit the button in our Chrome extension, let me disable notification just for privacy reasons. OPSEC, how do I do it? Actually, I don't know how to do that. So when you either share the mobile app or you click the Chrome extension button on the Chrome extension, it will pre-fill the URL box. In other cases, there will be URL box, text box that you can fill with an appropriate URL. The next question will be, what's the format of the resource, where you can check either video, audio, or text. You can also check multiple of these for like umbrella resources. But by umbrella resource, I mean a higher level resource that contains sub resources. For the country restriction side, for MVP, let's not go with that, at least not on the UI side, because we try to keep things as simple as possible. And then the third question on the first screen could be, what's the type of the resource, explanation, etc. Let's write that all down. When it comes to the layout, we need like contribute. We need so there is various ways to call this. It could be called resources. It could be called resource tree. It could be called also something like referenda, or I think the one that I like the most, the simplest one, proposals. This could be called contribute. It could be called add. It could be called review. Then we had search. And then we had, which will just say, yeah, we'll get to that in a second. And then we'll have notifications and possibly optional. How do I do optional in this profile? Let me make it slightly more semantic. That's better. And for the icons, again, I leave that up to the technical lead on the project. So the first screen here will essentially be likely link, format, and type. Second screen can be topics, and third screen can be learning dependencies. Here, of course, you can add, here it's just a list of topics, and here it's a list of, just to remind you guys, topic, or strength, topic, and okay, here, let me do this one first. This is the list of topics, and this is a list of these triplets, strength, topic, and what was the one that we went for? Level or up to something. So you can either implement that as both of them or as just a single one level, depending on our development resources, time, etc. Cool. Let's talk about the next proposed screen, proposals. So proposals is our heavyweight management of the resource tree. So this is this part of the specification. I will be thinking in the next day or so about how that could look. I haven't thought about that yet at all. Next, we have search, and that will be very simple because that will probably I want this to be, so it will probably have the Amos character with a chat box, and he will be saying something cute and lovely, like my creators told me that if we don't get 10,000 data points within the next 2 months, they'll delete me. I want to live. Help me stay alive, and so that we can enable search. And here's a link to the app so you can share with your friends. Anyways, the emotional investment part is optional, but what should definitely be there is something like search will be enabled once we iterate that community submissions are incoming. And finally, we have Noti. And this probably very simple. Just a list of notifications, so they can be of two types. They can be either something like something like referendum, or now we call it proposal, analysis 1 just ended. You gained 20 reputation points. And the other proposal would be people have agreed with your contribution on analysis 1. You gained 1 reputation. Okay. So let's go back to proposals. I said I haven't thought about it, but that's actually why I haven't only thought about the part of submitting the proposals. I thought quite intensively about, excuse me, about the screen. So there should definitely be a button that says, submit proposal. This could either be implemented as just a button on top, white button, or it could be implemented as a floating button to the bottom right. And then there could be 2 sections. So first one would be something that says proposals, and optionally you could also filter. So recent, soon ending, most active, etc. for you, and then there will be a list of these proposals. So each one would be, we can think of it like a card. For example, on desktop, it could be, well, it doesn't matter its shape. I was going to say it could be a square, but it doesn't matter its shape. What's more important is that on desktop, there could be like more of them on the width side, and then on mobile, they will get stacked up vertically. Each card would have something like the title, in big, bold text to the top left. It would have no, and it would have 400 reputation points, yes, 800 reputation points. And finally, it would have something like the time icon and ends in 2 days, 15 minutes, 2 days, 3 hours. This part could be on the bottom left, and this could be on the right. So just I mean, this again isn't a strict requirement, but just an idea. And if you click on this card, that's where you could get into the actual proposal. So if you click on it, you would get into the proposal screen, and that would again show you the title, and it would show you the changes, and of course again how much reputation points is on both sides. It's called status, and of course it would allow you to vote or to participate. Now you could ask, how is this title determined? And I thought about that. It could either be the proposer gets to call the title whatever he wants, kind of like in Stack Overflow, or it could actually be computed. So if you're making changes to a resource tree, it could just find the lowest level node that contains all of the resources you're changing everything to, and it could call it that. So for example, if you're merging 2 subnodes of analysis 1, because they actually represent the same resource, and just people were too dumb to put them as 2 separate resources, then the nearest common node is analysis 1. Right? If you're doing something else, then it might go to a higher level node. And then finally, it would say something like my votes or participations. And that would be, again, a list of the same cards with, again, clickable, but now only the ones that you have participated in. Yeah, I think that's really good. One thing that also came up to me was how will we also need an algorithm, as mentioned before, to calculate how long the games should last, the Amos games or the votes, the elections, because yeah, we said that less important ones will last shorter than the more important ones. But this is optional, but I think it'd be nice. And additionally, also whether we want to like begin them at certain times, like if we always want to begin them at midnight, and then it would always get integer amount of days, or if we always begin them from the time they're submitted. So this is up to the back end and the front end to coordinate and decide. I'm pretty much indifferent. Cool. So I think that's pretty much it on the proposal side. So then there's notifications, and finally there's profile, which I think that for the MVP we don't make it, and then once we actually build out the social networking aspect of our thing, then we allow people to add profile pictures, even add a username. We don't even need concept of usernames here at all. And most importantly, see where their reputation came from, and their contributions, which can in the future always be done publicly or privately. So we kind of turn into a. So when I see social networking, it's going to have more of a Twitter approach than a Facebook approach. So the first social network, popular one was Facebook, which had like a symmetric friendship relationship. But pretty much every single other social network, and including Facebook itself, actually has asymmetric relationships. So by that I mean the follow relationship. It's present in GitHub, in Quora, in Twitter, of course, and now even Facebook. So I think that relationship makes much more sense. Also in Goodreads, I believe that because Goodreads is very similar to us. Goodreads is a social network for books, and obviously people use it among others for nonprofits, for nonprofits, for education resources, and I believe they also have a follow model rather than a symmetric model. So bottom line, I think makes sense to introduce profile once we actually have a need for it. And that's pretty much it. Maybe the last thing that comes to my mind personally, we want to reuse components as much as possible. So I guess we already have, like, in some way, a chat box component. If you go to Amos, amos.ms, then this is something I made, and I guess we can reuse this component, including the picture. And I have one in big, and then I have one in small. And I was also thinking about how to reuse components across the app. So when we create the cards for the list of proposals, I was thinking whether we could use the same cards for a notification screen. But yep, just an idea. So without anything more to say, that is it from my side. And before we get into a discussion, let me just say that, yeah, I mean, obviously, we spent the last about 2.5 weeks finalizing the backend specification. I'm glad we have that, and I'm super excited to begin implementing. Like really, um, and so yeah, like the plan is literally tomorrow morning we can begin creating our repos and start creating this stuff. I guess my first question is okay. So I was gonna ask, do we all do it in one repo or do we do separate repos? Like, how do we do our actual GitHub implementation? I guess a more higher level question would be at hand. What do we do with the front end products? Which clients do we create? So yeah, I leave this to the front end as well, mainly team. Take into account, I guess, that we have whew, we have about, let's say, I think you can count with about 4 people. Let's say 3 people to be safe. Three full-time people. There's some part-time people, but let's say on the front end, 3 full-time people. So what do you guys think? There's also this article that I will be posting to Slack, because I haven't gotten around to doing that yet, which is very interesting. And it's about sharing JavaScript business logic or app logic, state logic between React JS and React Native. They offer essentially an option to do it using npm packages, which I guess makes sense. Another one is using an SDK, but then he actually proposes this other way, which is uh, using the render method on React component. Sorry, the render props method. So that's very interesting. So I guess yeah, that's my first question. I guess it falls to the front end team. What should we make? React Native, React JS, Chrome extension, or any combination of these three? Evgeny, what do you think? Are you online?
I think whichever is easiest to get started with and go live should be the priority.
Yeah.
Um, I would prefer the Chrome extension because it makes a lot of things easier, and I think a lot of people use for learning mostly desktop or tablets, which would also have the desktop Chrome installed. So Chrome extensions or Firefox extensions, something like that.
Right. Yeah, I mean that's definitely an idea. The I guess I would side with so I totally agree with you that what should be the easiest should be built first. I would probably side with a React JS project like a web app. A reason being that I don't feel like the Chrome extension would be powerful enough. Like it would actually. I know we're building an MVP, but an MVP like the M is also an important part of the MVP acronym. And so the web app can offer notifications, it can offer these proposals and voting on them, etc. And it's not that much harder to build than a Chrome extension because it's literally only these 2 screens extra, which I feel like have to be there in any case. So I would rather go from web app code to Chrome extension than the other way around.
Yeah,
But
makes sense.
yeah. And what was I gonna say? Evgeny, do you have an opinion on this, or are you fine with the web app track? Okay, it's possible that he's at work or something, so That's fine too. So I just resumed the recording. So Ani just asked a quick question, whether we should use the Neo4j for everything or only for the topic and resource tree and use traditional databases for storing user data. I personally don't have an opinion, whatever is easier for the backend team. But like, you don't think that it would be easier to do everything in one database? It seems to me from many different perspectives, like authentication, management, it's very likely that we'll need to link users to submissions or to votes, you know?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. So that's one thing that I was wondering. I mean, anyways, we can probably build it like a microservices type of architecture, so that the part which just handles the learning resources that can stay up on a graph, and on the links can happen in there. Anyways, every node in there will have a certain ID, and we can have the ratings and the user mapped to that at a separate place, according to that ID anyway. So that
Right.
can be done.
That's true, like do a relation.
Yeah, we can build up the relation in a relational database, and the other part in there. Uh, but yeah, that's something that I was wondering.
Yeah, I mean, from my side, whatever is easier for you.
All right. So I'll just explore a little more on how we can, if it's possible to link it, if it's that's easier. If not, then we can do everything on GraphDB.
Got it. And you can work with Lauren on that.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. So just to so yeah, on that note, I think we what came out of this call is build the React web app, and then we can go from there. Cool. So just to recap everything, um, at least on the front end specification. So there's going to be a lot of freedom in the implementation, and also I can pitch in. So if you guys have any questions or like comments, then like hit me. I'm always available. I mean, this is my life right now, so to speak. And so when it comes to layout, I feel like there should be 4 major screens to contribute to, which will be a 3-screen sort of steps to add metadata, um, as well as the proposals, which will allow you to submit a proposal, view the global proposals, and also view your own participations. And the search, which will just make it clear to the users that that this is what we're essentially building the project for, and it should also ideally motivate them to make the submissions, or even spread the word, build the community, like we're all trying so hard to do, in order for the database to be populated enough that we can have this incredible app where you can search for anything that you want to learn, and you say you prefer video and you want to learn in 2 days, and it will take into account what you already know. Like, that's going to be just incredible. And the last screen, notifications. Now there's a few optional screens like profile, a button like log out, something like settings. I don't think we need settings at the moment. The funny thing is, in this current concept, we don't actually have a logout button, so people have to go to their cookies and reset the cookies if they want to log out. So yeah, feel free to also add a logout button. Great. Why don't we reconvene tomorrow evening, and we can, or do you think on Thursday, and we can talk about, I mean, we'll obviously be on Slack discussing, and let's start creating the repos tomorrow, and then let's talk on Slack and also either tomorrow or on Thursday about how we're gonna change the world.
Thursday would be better for me.
Which day?
Thursday.
Thursday. Perfect. Anything left to discuss? Open floor.
Not from me. Kenny?
Cool. I'm really excited about this, the future of education. Thanks to us. Let's make the execution. See you later.